We told you last night about a change to the voting process in a federal by-election next month. More than 200 candidates are running in the Alberta riding of Battle River Crowfoot, a record number. Elections Canada posting a video explaining some changes they're making because of that number. The agency says that due to the large number of candidates and the limitations on regular list-style ballots, voters will write the name of the person they're voting for instead of marking an X. Many of the candidates are associated with an activist group that's pushing for electoral reform. Their method of protest is to flood ballots with a large number of independent candidates. All right, for more analysis, let's bring in Duff Conacher, the co-founder of Democracy Watch. He's in Midland, Ontario. And Duff, so 200 people, if they had put this on a regular ballot, I mean, I don't know how many meters long it would be, but it would be huge. It would be unwieldy. It is a form of protest by this electoral reform group. What do you make of it?
I think it's the wrong tactic. And they want to raise the issue of our voting system and push for electoral reform. And they're getting attention, but just getting attention doesn't mean you're moving things forward in terms of building support for the change that you want. And I think they're actually taking steps backwards in multiple ways because of this tactic.
So first of all, let's just talk about what that long ballot would do. And I understand that Elections Canada has changed it this time around. We'll talk about it. But in the last election, just a few months ago, there was this incredibly, impractically long ballot in Pierre Poilievre's riding. What does that do? Just physically having that ballot to the democratic process?
Well, I think what it does is send the message that, oh, why is this happening? Oh, this group of people pushing to change our voting system. And the message you're sending is, so changing the voting system would make voting more difficult. And that's not a good message to send if you want the change to happen, because that would turn people off. As well, they've done this now twice in ridings where Pierre Poilievre is running, and that gives a partisan tinge to the whole effort, and would turn off a lot of conservatives from, again, the change that these people want, which is to our voting system. And our voting system does need change. It does result in deep unfairness for a lot of voters whose vote does not account at all in terms of how the parties are represented by MPs in Parliament. But I think, again, this is the wrong tactic, and it's backfired. There's calls for change to raise the barriers to running as a candidate. That's going to make things more undemocratic and more difficult to run as a candidate. And in the end, Elections Canada has changed the voting system for this by-election, again, because of this tactic. So multiple steps backwards, and I think it just shows how wrong-headed this tactic was for raising the issue of electoral reform.
And while you've been talking, we've been showing some images. If people are wondering what that huge ballot that they saw on their screen was, that is the ballot from the last election in Pierre Poilievre's riding in the Ottawa area. And as people just saw, it is huge. We only have a couple of minutes left, and I have at least 2, maybe 3 questions to get to. The first one is, now in the Alberta riding, in this by-election, Elections Canada is asking voters to write in the candidate that they want, as opposed to just putting an X next to the candidate. How do you feel about that change?
I think it's a reasonable reaction to this tactic again, and not something I'm sure the Longest Ballot Committee wanted. But when you push in the wrong direction, you get reactions that also end up not getting what you want. And what's going to happen now is voters are going to have to remember the candidate's name or the party, and write in the candidate's name. If they write in the party, it won't be counted. That's going to make it more difficult for people to vote for the people they want, because a name's more difficult to remember than just the party's name.
One last thing, we only have a minute, but obviously it's important to balance, on the one hand, making it accessible for people to run for whichever, in this case, the House of Commons, and at the same time, perhaps, making it difficult to put 200 names on the ballot. I don't know. I feel like you've thought about this before. How do we find that balance?
Well, I think the balance is a simple change that each candidate needs to have a financial agent that's filing reports on donations and spending, and each candidate should have to use a separate financial agent. and that would make it much more difficult. With what's happening with the longest ballot initiative is that everyone under the initiative is using the same financial agent. It makes it very difficult. You could also increase the signature total required from voters in the riding, required to register as a candidate, but it shouldn't be increased much, not as much as the Conservatives want, because that's going to make a big barrier for independent candidates and candidates from small parties and really favor the major parties, and that's an unfair system.
Well, Duff Conacher, your organization is called Democracy Watch, and certainly worth watching very closely how this long ballot and the alternative ends up playing out. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you. I'll keep you updated as things develop with changes to the rules.
Fantastic.